Hi team, welcome back to our tutorial series on machine learning and operations. If you have been following our series, you know we have been building up our machine learning pipeline step by step. In the last video, we explored how to create a classification pipeline, right? That combines all the pre-processing steps into a single seamless workflow. But building the pipeline is only half the battle. What comes next is training the pipeline with real data and saving it for future use. That's exactly what we are going to cover today. All right. So we will dive into how to load the data set, train your pipeline, and save it as a reusable artifact. All right. So this will be a crucial step over here in which we'll work on the training pipeline file and we will try to deploy the machine learning model more efficiently in real world application. So let's go ahead with this training pipeline part. So we are going to write a script. So before I will start writing the script for training pipeline and I start explaining it, how to indulge everything that we created in a single file so that we can trigger the training. Let me tell you what does this script do. So it will load the training data set. Then we have to split the data set into features and target variables. Thereafter, we'll train the classification pipeline that we built earlier. Thereafter, we will save the training pipeline for future use. So the script name training pipeline.py ensures that all the pre-processing, training, and saving happens in an automated and structured way. Again, I'm repeating everything like pre-processing, training, and saving the model happens in a will happen in a structured and automated way. So let me walk you through the code step by step. So the very first thing that we are going to do is what we'll try to import the library. So import numpy as np. Thereafter import pandas as pd. Obviously for all sorts of data handling pre-processing. Then import os, import sys. Now why I did it so that I can add this path. So now what I do, I'll just import the module that we have created or the package we created. Like suppose I want to import loan app. So now I can easily import it, import loan app. All right. So now let's execute and check if these things are working or are we getting any error. Okay. So it is saying no module name loan app. Okay. So let's see why it is saying this. Why is it giving me this error? All right. So see, we are getting an error, no module name loan app. So do we need this thing first of all? Okay. For example, see, we are executing this file. Okay. And I need the config file that exists over here. I need datasets. I need pre-processing. I need these things. So these things are already existing in the same directory. So I don't need to import loan app. Okay. What I can do, I can directly access over here the config, right? This config I can directly access, and this line is also not required, isn't it? Okay, because this is something that we were using when we were writing some sort of a script within these packages, right? Within these packages, if I write a Python script, so that Python script needs to access something from other package. Okay, I'm writing something in processing package, and that Python script needs to access some file from config package. So then in that case, I need this thing, this particular main package location should be there in system.path. But right now we are accessing from the same location. I need to access config over here. Obviously, I can directly access it. I'll show you. Let's see. I'll write import config. Okay, it's working properly. Okay, no need to add any system path or anything over here, right? So what I can do, I can just remove it. Even you want to add, you can add it. You just need to remove this thing from here, right? If you remove this thing from here, then you can easily add it. But anyway, as of now, it is not required. So I'll just remove this line of code. Why to add any extra line? So I'll just use over here from config Okay, import config. That means from the config package, I'm importing the config thing, right? Thereafter, we'll do what? From config dot pre-processing or processing. Let's check the file name actually from not config, from processing actually directly we have a package processing, right? So from processing dot, you can say data handling, I need to import few things such as load data because I have to load the data. Okay. And after loading the data, we will train the model and then we save the model, right? So I also call over here save pipeline. Okay. Load pipeline will be written in what? In prediction logic. Okay. Fine. Next, what we need to import? We need to import the pre-processing, right? So I'll just write over here import uh, processing dot data pre-processing as pp. Okay. Thereafter, this thing is also not required. I can just remove it. Thereafter, I can just import over here pipeline. So import, where is my pipeline? Pipeline is there in directly over here. So I can also import it. It is pipeline, it is training pipeline. So I can directly import pipeline as pipe. Okay, so now I'll check if all my packages are working properly or not. Okay, so these things are working. So config will contain what config is containing. Config is containing all the configuration settings for our project, such as file path, feature names that we already imported. Data handling is a utility module with functions to load the dataset and save the pipeline. The pipeline that we built in our last video, which includes all pre-processing and the logistic regression model. Next, what we do, we'll create a function which can perform the training. So let's see, I'll create a function over df perform training. Okay. And how can we trigger the training? Obviously, for to trigger the training, I require the data first. So train data, that will be equals to what? I'll just trigger this load data function. Now, when I trigger this load data function, what this guy will do? Let's see. Load data function is in this part, right? Data handling. So it will just access the data from this particular location. We have to just pass over here what? The file name. So what is my file name? That I'll define over here config dot. In the config, we have defined the file name. Okay. So here is my file name config dot train file, right? This is the file name, isn't it? So I can just define config.train file. So this will access my data file. Okay. So before performing the training, once we access the data file, next we do what? We'll just define our train X and train Y, that is our features and labels. So train underscore X and train underscore Y. Okay. So what is train X? From the train data, I'll access it. Okay. And train Y, we will also access from the train data. Right. So it would be what? Config dot the features already we have defined over here. If you see, so these are the features I require, right? So I'll just put it over here, features, and the target also have defined in the config. So config dot target. Nice. Next, what do we do? We are having the pipe over here. So I'll just call this thing pipe dot classification. Okay, pipe dot what? Classification pipeline. Okay. And then I'll just put over here train X and train Y. And whatever the logic that we created, based on that, automatically our model will get trained. Okay. And once it is trained, I need to save the model. So I'll just call over here save pipeline. Okay. And in the save pipeline, what I will feed over here pipe dot classification pipeline because it is trained. So I want to save it. Okay. So now whatever the model that we created, that will be saved as a pickle file in this trained model directory, which is actually a package. So this will create a serialized version of pipeline which can be easily loaded later for making up the predictions. So saving the pipeline actually ensures that all the pre-processing steps and the trained model are preserved and making your machine learning workflow more efficient and reproducible, you can say. Now, if I have to execute it, how can I execute it? So to trigger it, obviously I have to call this file training pipeline. I'll write a logic if name double equals to main. That means whenever this file will be called, automatically what will happen? This perform training function will automatically get triggered. Okay, whenever I'll call this file for the execution. Okay, now this is done. Now what we do? We have to just trigger, I'll just save this file and thereafter I have to just trigger this file for the execution. So I'll show you the execution. Now, this script is a very good example of automated and reusable training pipeline. And it is very important in real world project. Why? Because it will provide you the consistency. The same pre-processing steps and model training logics are applied every time. So that is a consistency. It will give you the reproducibility. By saving the pipeline, we can ensure that our results can be reproduced exactly. Then it is a deployment ready as well. A trained and saved pipeline can be directly integrated into the production environment for real-time predictions. So as of now, if I execute it, let's see what happened. Are we getting our trained model or not? So I'll just trigger here. So now here we are getting some error that we need to fix. Okay, it is saying that no file loan_train.csv because I have not uploaded any data over here. So let me just put the data in this section, isn't it? All right. So you can see I have saved the data at this location. Okay, because I have written the logic that this data should be there, but data I have not saved. So now I uploaded the data. Then again I'll execute training pipeline. So now I'm getting an error that pipeline object is not callable, isn't it? Over here. All right. So the same thing, let's try to execute the pipeline file and check if this file is independently running or it is running with an error. So it is showing an error, no module name, loan app. So here same logic that we had applied for the training pipeline, right? For the training pipeline, the logic that we applied, same we have to apply it over. That means it is again independently running out. It is not within any sub package. As it is not within any sub package, I can directly access config over here. I don't need loan app over here, right? And if I have to use loan app again, if I want to use this thing, then I have to go one step above, but I don't need it. So why to write an extra line of code? It is not within any sub package, so directly will access it. So I'll just use from config, from import this one, from pre-processing this. Okay, this is scikit-learn, that is an inbuilt thing, so no need to remove it. I'll save it and then again I'll re-execute it. So now it is not showing any error. Again, go back to training pipeline and then again trigger it. But it is again showing some error. Let's see why it is showing the error over here. All right. So everything seems to be correct over here. If you see pipe dot classification pipeline, when we train something, right, what we do, we use fit function. Here I missed the fit function and that's why we are getting error. So once I'll give the fit, then most probably it should execute properly. Let's see. Now here there is a error that we are getting. The error is because the target column. Okay, if you see the target column over here, it is y or n. We have not converted this y or n into a numerical form, right? Because we are using label encoding for all the for all the features over here, right? And we are not doing any kind of transformation for the target column. Okay, that's why we are getting the error over here. Now question is, how can we fix it? So we are getting this error, that is y is something which is not getting converted into numerical form. Okay, like see, model requires what? Numerical value of target column. So if I use it over here, dot map, and thereafter I will convert the y, let's say y into 0, sorry 1, and then n I'll map with 0. Okay, that means I'm trying to convert the target column as in a numerical form, that is 1 and 0, and then again I'll execute it. I'm still getting the error. So it means what? In our data, there must be some column in which we are still feeding y and n. So for that, we'll check our data columns in config. So in the config data column, you can see over here the loan status. Okay, in the features, we are using loan status, and features we are feeding where? Features we are feeding in the pre-processing over here or in the pipeline for mean and mode imputation, right? But we are not doing label here we are doing the label encoder for all the for only for the features to encode. That means we are only encoding what? We are only encoding the categorical columns. Okay, that means only these columns we are encoding. We are not encoding loan status, isn't it? And loan status should not be there in features. So I'll remove it from the features because it is a target column. I'll save it and then again I'll execute it. Okay, let's see. Now we are getting the error. So file not found. That means this location, this path is not existing. So how can we check it? To check this thing, we'll go to config. In the config, we are using over here train model as a directory to save our model file. So where is my train model? Let's see. Here is our train model. So it's not train model, it's train models, right? So let's correct it. Again, save it and again just execute it. So now everything works properly and our model gets saved as a classification.pickle file. So things sorted, my all the files are working properly. So what are the errors that we corrected? Let me just revisit the things. First, the error that we got was related to this thing, that is your target column. Why? Because the target column was also defined in the feature. So we fixed it. Next, the location, that means the when the save pipeline was executing, it was trying to save in a particular directory, but the directory name we had given incorrect in the config. So that's the thing that we corrected. So after doing all these things are working properly, and also system.append thing is not required over here. That was also a thing that we corrected because it is accessing config right from here. Okay, that means it can easily access the config within it, and it is not within any sub package. That's why it can easily access config right from here. No need to add any system path. So everything is working properly. Next, that we will work upon the predict.py, or we'll write the prediction logic, and we'll see how these files can be used for the prediction, and how can this particular file that is being generated after training the model, okay, how we can use it for the prediction. So that is the thing we're going to see next. So stay tuned, keep learning, stay safe. Thank you everyone.